Hey guys.
Not quite 5:30 yet.
Minute. Welcome to the March 2026 meeting of the Hadley Public Schools. I'm calling this meeting to order. We don't yet have quorum, but I welcome my colleague Ethan, Percy, and I to move forward with some of the items on the agenda that do not require voting. I will go ahead and share my screen and share a video that the public schools have put together that tell us a little bit more, tell folks considering Hadley a little bit more about the schools.
Hopkins Academy, a one-of-a-kind educational opportunity. A learning environment tailor-made for your academic and professional opportunities. Our close-knit community provides every student with personalized attention and a vast catalog of resources. The perfect combination of a small school with big opportunity.
A lot of people choose to not send their children here because they think because we're a small school that our world is going to be very small. I would argue that the opposite is true.
Our curriculum is stocked with compelling STEM opportunities, like Project Lead the Way for middle and high school students to dig into distinct subjects like forensics. And Innovation Career Pathways, where high school students can earn real-world certifications that will prepare them for college or career, whichever is next. These hands-on offerings provide students with the skills to succeed in any environment they choose post-graduation.
We have been talking to the owner of Paris about hopefully getting a job on the Cape, like an internship on the Cape for like baseball and analytics there.
Project Lead the Way, or PLTW, was honestly, it was similar to like other classes, except it was a bit more like independent work and kind of teach yourself how to do certain things without, always direct guidance.
I'm in the engineering for the PLTW classes, and I've enjoyed, we're building robots right now, and we're working towards that, which is fun. But we also did a windmill project where we made wind turbines, and that was cool because we got to design our own turbines and do different tests to see which ones would be the most efficient.
No matter your interests or whether it's even been done before, we'll help you find the real world experience you need.
So every day I go to the fire station and I work kind of as a junior firefighter. I go on calls, I help with like around the building. We do some community outreach like to elementary school. All the go bags that the teachers take with them during fire drills and stuff, I put those together.
I've been an intern for Parks and Rec, and we help like put on events for the younger kids, organize their sports like soccer, t-ball, basketball.
One time I came to observe a class, and they were working with the police department because they were concerned about the traffic flow outside of school. And that resulted in actually a change of the timing of the lights.
It's all built on a solid foundation of rigorous academics. We supplement our robust catalog of AP courses with community college classes, allowing our students to get ahead on future studies.
Last year, I took AP Pre-Calc. I took AP Biology, which was a really fun course. And then I also took, one more. Oh, right, AP US History. And AP US History, like I said, I didn't enjoy history before that. But now that I've gone through it, it's been very relevant throughout my life, actually.
The amount of APs that we are delivering is incredibly significant for the size of this building. My calculus class has had 7 or 8 kids for the last 3 or 4 years, which doesn't sound like a lot. But would you get a graduating class of only 30 kids? Yeah, that's pretty significant.
I do believe that I've gotten a lot here. We have a lot of like AP classes to offer, and if they're not offered here, then you can take like a virtual high school class or like a class with Greenfield Community College. So there's many opportunities for all the students to get what classes they need to set them up for the future.
All right, begin. Started reading really fast. What should we do, Doctor?
Our extracurriculars provide another avenue for enrichment and self-discovery. Students can take the stage and get on the field here at Hopkins, in addition to pursuing service learning trips abroad.
My first year, actually, I also did tech. I was the lights manager, which, another part of a small town community is I'm sure I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if, there were 10 other guys competing for it. But that really introduced me to theater. And then the next 3 years, including this one, I've been an actor.
I think why our school performs so well is because we have many athletes that play multiple sports, and also everybody has an opportunity. It's such a small school. Like you can start any year you want. Like I just started soccer this year, and I've really been able to grow.
There's so much opportunity to play on varsity, so a lot of other freshmen, including myself, we were able to play up and, experience that higher level, which, is good because, you get experience young and, it kind of sets us apart from other schools.
I love any of the service learning trips. I love hearing students light up when they talk about the different cultures they're exposed to and helping people. That just goes beyond the classroom. And I think it builds great character as well.
And if we don't have exactly what you're looking for, there's a culture at Hopkins where our educators make it happen, whether it's a new club, course, or team.
You have the ability to start a club if you want to. You have the ability to work closely with your teachers on independent research projects. You can take classes online. You can take dual enrollment classes. There are so many opportunities that you can get involved in, and you can get involved in them, I would say, more easily.
We can make activities really interesting. Like one year we had kids that were interested in ice hockey. So I made like a lot of like the video clips, and I even made one of the labs dealing with like horses and ice hockey. So you can really get to know them, and you can like gear your class towards them.
Opportunity awaits at Hopkins Academy. Learn more at hadleyschools.org.
you.
Such a feel-good video. I'm so proud of our schools. Thank you so much for pulling that together. Can you share a little bit about how it was created, how it came together?
Yes, we, using one of our Innovation Pathways funding from one of those grants, we contacted Dave Khartoum, and he does a number of these videos. He actually was a local newscaster in the eastern part of the state and helps schools with short videos and providing the public with information about programs, extracurriculars, other things. So, grant-funded endeavor to highlight some of the programs we've been able to build with grants.
And what a great way to tell folks who are considering our schools, a little bit about the something special that goes on here. So thank you again. Colleagues, want to give you a chance to share any comments that you might have about the video.
I'll be quick. I thought it was great to see a lot of familiar faces. I think it's really important that we highlight kind of all the things that we do in such what we know is a smaller community, but we're still doing big things. So it was really great to see all that.
Thanks, Ethan.
I echo Ethan. I don't think I have anything to add. It was a lovely video.
Thanks, Tara. Hey, Chris.
Hi. No, I think it was great. I think that, having the different groups, having the different teachers, really just made everyone was very approachable. And I think that's important. It didn't come off as a promotional type of thing. It came off as genuine, which I think is important. And it was great to see the kids. I miss them. So,
well, great. Thank you, Christine. All right, and now that the four of us are here, we have quorum, and we can actually officially vote to begin the meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to open this meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Christine.
Seconded.
Thank you, Ethan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Terrific. Let's move back to adjustments to the agenda. Annie, do you want to take us through them?
I do not believe that we have any adjustments to the agenda this evening. So,
right, great.
In good shape.
Excellent.
I will share my screen so Michelle can do her presentation.
Okay, should we leave space for open comment?
Sure. Oh, sorry. Yep. Obviously.
No worries. Okay. To any members of the public that are here, we welcome open comment. Please leave your remarks, keep your remarks to under 3 minutes, and ideally pertinent to items on the agenda. If you'd like to speak, go ahead and raise your digital hand and we will unmute you. Okay, seeing none, we're going to move into presentation and discussion items. And yes, thank you, Annie, for giving Ms. Witowitz the controls.
Yes, I just made her co-host, and now I'm going to share my screen. I was so eager to do it because my screen sharing ability is a little wonky, but I think I have it right.
Hi, Michelle. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Great, thanks.
Okay, slideshow. Here we are.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. I know the school committee is familiar with me and the work I do, but for those in the public who are watching and may not know me, my name is Michelle Witowitz. I am the social emotional learning and multi-tiered systems of support coach for Hadley Public Schools. What that means is I facilitate the district's work in academic and behavioral support systems. I'm a licensed teacher with 12 years of experience in the elementary classroom setting prior to moving into this role. I started this at the beginning of the 21 to 22 school year. The work for academic and behavioral support systems is district-wide across all grade levels. I teach health lessons at ATS. In both schools, I support the implementation of curriculum and evidence-based practices in literacy, math, and social emotional learning. I oversee our universal screening and progress monitoring processes, and I provide teacher support through classroom coaching and professional development sessions. This year, I also manage $137,000 in grant-funded initiatives. Strong systems of support help to identify student needs early and align resources so students and teachers can succeed. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to explain a little bit about why we do this work, highlight the impact of our academic and behavioral supports, provide an overview of strategies used to achieve results, and summarize what my role does, why it matters, and the impact it has on our district's outcomes. And you can advance, thank you. Every person is unique. Every student has different needs. In each classroom, there are varying academic, behavioral, mental health, and social emotional needs, and these are all happening simultaneously. MTSS is a framework rooted in prevention that identifies students who are at risk for poor learning outcomes early. These systems require coordination, so problems do not escalate and learning can be continuous. Investing early not only improves learning outcomes for our students, it saves the district money. In the last 5 years, we have expanded our systems to include literacy and math screening for all students in grades K through 10 and mental health screening for all students in K through 12. We analyze this data along with MCAS data, discipline referrals, attendance, teacher, classroom, and survey data. This information is used to make curriculum and instructional decisions, allocate resources, implement student supports, and provide professional development to faculty and staff. As a part of the systems we have put into place, teams regularly meet to analyze these data. This data demonstrates that students are making progress in early literacy skills, broad reading skills, reading comprehension, and math skills. Student progress is evident within a school year, over the course of a school year, and across multiple years. Coming out of COVID, an area of concern was literacy skills, particularly in the early grades. We saw lower achievement levels on our spring screenings in 2021 and 2022 than we had seen prior to the pandemic. We were not unique. This was true of many districts across the state and country at that time. We looked closely at this data and the data I previously mentioned to you in order to create an action plan. Following the spring of 2022, we implemented new reading curriculum at the elementary school, and we expanded our screening and intervention processes. Additionally, in the 23 to 24 school year, we trained all HES faculty and staff who support students in building literacy skills. We trained them in the science of reading practices. When we look at our data over time, we see that our lowest performing year on screening was 2020 to 2021. Since then, we see steady increases in our early literacy performance. When we look at and compare kindergarten scores from the spring of 2021 to last year, the spring of 2025, we saw a 39% increase in students who met literacy proficiency targets for their grade level. In the school year following the science of reading training that I just mentioned a moment ago, we saw a 6% increase in improvement in broad reading skills and reading comprehension across all of HES. We have surpassed pre-COVID reading comprehension levels at the elementary school. Our rate of students meeting proficiency levels on last spring's screening is 2% higher than it was in the spring of 2017, which was the first year of administering our literacy screening. We are seeing academic gains not only in literacy, but in our math performance as well. Last year, we saw a 17% increase over the course of the school year for HES students demonstrating proficiency on their grade level math screenings. At the middle school, we saw an 8% improvement in math screenings. Again, investing early improves learning outcomes and saves money. In addition to positive trends in academic achievement, we also see positive trends in school climate as a result of having strong systems of support. Earlier, I mentioned that literacy achievement in the early grades was a concern coming out of COVID. At that time, at the middle and high school levels, The post-COVID concerns included social and emotional behaviors. In the 2022 to 23 school year, we started administering a mental health screening. We used information from that screening to determine action steps. Those action steps included updating the advisory curriculum for grades 7 through 12, increasing SEL practices, training all staff in restorative justice practices. When we compare office referral data from the 2022 to 23 school year to last year, we saw a 30% decrease in discipline referrals. When we compare our mental health screening data at Hopkins from the first time students participated in the screening, which was in the fall of 22, to our most recent screening, which was January of this past year, we see a 12% increase in students whose self-reports identify them as being at low risk for poor social, emotional, or behavioral outcomes. When students' social, emotional, and behavioral well-being is taken care of, our school environments are safer. We experience fewer classroom disruptions and fewer discipline referrals. This translates to more time on learning. This can be captured qualitatively as well. We have some teacher quotes on this page. I asked a few of our educators about the impact that MTSS has on their teaching experience, and our educators report that our systems have been pivotal for student success. Data-driven support and tailored interventions make for a successful system that is proactive and uses a whole child approach to support all of our students. In summary, over the past 5 years, we have increased and enhanced supports for our students in literacy, math, mental health, social, emotional, and behavioral. For teachers, we have provided professional learning communities and training in the science of reading, restorative justice practices, universal design for learning, and other social, emotional, and behavioral supports. This work is ongoing and continued investment is needed in order to maintain success. Strong systems of support help to identify student needs early and align resources so students and teachers alike can succeed. Early support prevents bigger, more expensive problems. We have created a system that is working and producing measurable results. This role makes the entire system function. Thank you, and I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Michelle.
Something about the role.
Yes, of course.
In addition to managing those grants this year and in previous years, the work that Michelle does along with the teachers makes our grant applications that much more competitive. I mean, we have steadily in fiscal year 24, we were receiving about $600,000 in grants. And granted, we received grants for all kinds of things that various people have received, but this year we're up to about 1.6 million. So when we look at social emotional grants for social emotional learning and MTSS, the work Michelle does makes us highly competitive for those grants. And it is required, we're being audited this year, and districts have to, when they're audited by the department, we'll undergo 3 audits this year, we have to demonstrate that we have multi-tiered systems of support. So that's an expectation in all.
Thank you, Annie, for that additional context. I would say that this is incredibly important work, very aligned with our values, and I'm really pleased to see the progress that we've been able to make. I remember when this program was just getting going, and it's wonderful to see how it's evolved. I just have one technical question, and then I'd love to open it up to my colleagues to share their perspective and questions as well. And that is, Annie, we have about a little over $130,000 in grant funding that goes in addition to Michelle's position. And I just want to make sure, the position is funded by our operational budget, not based on grant funding that could go away. That's a secure and solid position.
Yes, she manages projects that are worth, she is the manager for projects that are worth $137,000, as well as participates in additional projects. But no, the position is in the operating.
Excellent, and it spans both schools. And so that's terrific. That is so important to ensuring consistency of a pretty vital function. And it sounds like the 130,000 can only stand to go up in an environment when grant funding is under pressure due to economic constraints that all our schools are facing. It sounds like this is an area that a lot of grantors want to see enhanced and expanded. And the fact that we have such a solid start means that we are more competitive for the grant funding that we really need to augment our operational budget.
Correct.
Terrific. Thank you, Annie. Ethan, Tara, Christine, would love to get your perspectives as well.
I'll go. I also remember when this got started up, and I was very excited to see you in the role, Michelle. And I feel like your slides explain themselves. I really love when you come on and share information pretty regularly with us. And I feel like your slides are pretty self-explanatory on the importance of the work as well. And the only thing I wanted to say, I don't know if it's possible, Annie, is there a way that we can share this information? I know it's on this meeting, but also to other parents who may still not have a good idea of what this role is and how it improves our district.
I'd be happy to do that.
Thanks.
One way to do that potentially, and there's many ways, so you'll take this for what it's worth, but you could even just take a little clip of tonight's YouTube presentation and embed that into one of the superintendent emails or the principal's emails for both schools. And I'm happy to share with you technically how that might be possible if you need any help. Okay, great. Christine?
No, actually, I just want to reiterate what Tara said, because I think that it's important that we talk about the kids that don't necessarily get the attention that they need, and it makes a huge difference. And just I'm thrilled to see the reading comprehension. I mean, math is important too, I get that, but I can't stress enough how important it is for students to be comfortable with reading, because everything gets better when the reading comprehension goes up, and it helps with their self-esteem and with their learning. So I'm thrilled. And I just want to say, by the way, I was very sorry to hear about Max.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Christine. Ethan?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I think it's just important to highlight how a positive school climate can have such a great impact on the community. I can only speak for Hadley Elementary because I'm there multiple times every day. But the culture there, the community there, the vibe there is always super positive. Obviously, it's the success is based on the work that you put in, Michelle, and we're super appreciative of it because we know the impact it can have individually on students, but also as a community as a whole. So please keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the support that you've all given me over the years, as well as our administration and our strong teaching staff. It takes a village.
Indeed. So thank you for continuing to keep us posted. We look forward to the next time you're back, filling us in on how the next several months unfold.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move next to the fiscal year 27 budget update. Here to tell us about that is Annie and also Chris Desjardins. Are you here with us?
Yes. We think this is pretty straightforward. On March 9th, we presented the budget to the Finance Committee, and then on March 11th, the Finance Committee and the Select Board held a joint meeting. Afterwards, a Finance Committee member emailed, I believe everyone, certainly emailed me, asked a question about, they understand what it would take in terms of an override to get the schools to level service in fiscal year 27, but they also asked Is there a number that is less than level service that would prevent the kind of catastrophic effects that we would see with no override? Is there a number that's less than level service, more than no override, that would allow us to maintain all of our programs and opportunities? So that is what we're going to look at tonight, or not. Right, there we go. So tonight we're asking the school committee to look at 3 different budget scenarios, to look at what the impact of each one of those is on staffing and programs. We'll look at the cost to the taxpayer, and also I want to show the taxpayers, which I'm sure most of them know, how easy it is to evaluate the impact of any proposed override amount on their tax bill for next year. And then Chris and I are hoping that the school committee will let us know what option or options you would like us to present to FinCom. So the last time we spoke, we had a deficit that looked more like $657,000. As we said, there's different things are still moving. One of the things, and a lot of kudos to Chris. Chris contacted the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, because when he looked at our circuit breaker allocation, it just didn't seem correct to him. He contacted DESE. DESE reviewed it, and we have more money in circuit breaker that we'll be able to allocate to the fiscal year 27 budget. So that's an example of something, and there are still other moving parts. For example, it's not April 1st yet, so if we have a move-in from another district that's and the students in and out of district placement, anytime that happens before April 1st, and not 100% of that bill would belong to us. And of course, anything can happen in special education, and we aren't locked in for energy prices. People can imagine. So now, to get us to level service, that would require an additional just over $700,000. And then reduced services, that would require an override somewhere between $400,000 and $438,000. And of course, no override results in very deep cuts. The impact in each scenario, you see level services says eliminate 2.6 FTE. I know that it's important to the town and to the taxpayers. It would be very important to me to hear that every department is doing their best to be as efficient as possible. So especially given this year when the town reduced our local contribution mid-year by $200,000, we did not fill 2.6 positions. And so that was attrition. Those aren't positions that somebody has been ripped. Those were attrition. And we will reduce summer custodial hours this summer. So of course, a level services override would maintain level services, maintain all extracurriculars. If we were able to receive a $400,000 in additional funding from the town, roughly $400,000, we would still need to eliminate an additional between 2.6 and 3.1 FTEs, or full-time equivalents. We would have a better idea of that once we knew what classes students were taking. When we analyzed where to make reductions, we looked at what reductions can we make that would not entirely eliminate a program. So for example, if there is one of something, if you say, and I use this example, I know he's on the call, I've used an example before, so I know he won't be bothered by it. If I say, I am going to eliminate an elementary art teacher, I am actually eliminating elementary art because I have one teacher. Right? So when we were looking if we had to make reductions, we said, are there spaces where we can make reductions that are either not directly a classroom teacher? So in some of these positions we looked at would be in the realm of perhaps administrative support, or in a place where by eliminating a position, you are not eliminating a program. And we're also looking, and I really want to thank Melissa Briggs, Dee Rex, Peg Jekanowski, Steve Bigda, and Chris, who are working tirelessly to see where we can reduce our bus routes. This would maintain all programs just with fewer staff in that middle scenario. In the no override scenario, you've heard this number before, that looks at about 10.6 full-time equivalents, or closer to an 11 head count. It would reduce extracurriculars significantly, and it would reduce athletic opportunities for students. So there would be a significant impact on preschool, on special education, because we provide a really high, and I would say impactful, based on Michelle's presentation, level of service for our students. We believe in early intervention. We believe in providing personalized and small group targeted instruction for students who have significant needs. And certainly if we had absolutely no additional funding, and the town did in fact reduce local contribution by $640,000, which again is on top of a $200,000 mid-year fiscal year 26 cut, and equates to an over 8% cut from fiscal year 26, and the equivalent of local contribution at FY19 levels. In that scenario, things do not look good. So across the board, to maintain services, override revenue or additional revenue would be just over $700,000. The FTE impact, I explained to you, this is due to attrition. Programs remain stable. And that would, if your house is worth about $500,000, that would equate to roughly $21 a month. Reduced services, again, the FTE impact we've gone through. There are cuts in that. The cost to the taxpayer, if your home is valued at roughly $500,000, would be $12 to $13 a month. And of course, no additional revenue, significant cuts to people and programs, no additional cost to the taxpayer. And how anybody can do this, I'll show you it very simply. Anyone can fact check this. Many of you probably have, but I will show taxpayers where they can look this up. You always just take your total assessed value, which you can find online for Hadley of the current fiscal year. You take any proposed override amount, divide it by that assessed value. That gives you, you then multiply that by 1,000 to get your cost per 1,000 that you pay. I'll show you how to get to this. This is the annual tax bill impact for a $700,000. And then, as I said, I asked, stop sharing for a moment. I asked the school committee, to make recommendations, but there's one more thing I said I would show folks how to do this. So for what it's worth, can folks see this now? Is that my screen sharing? All right, so this is as simple as just going onto Google and say DLS override calculator or DOR override calculator. It will always default to Abington, the first one in the list. You change it to the town you're in. You put in the amount. Let's do 100. Let's do 1,000. And you can see it takes that assessed value of all parcels. It takes the amount, and then it tells you the impact per 1,000. The 700,000 was 51 cents per 1,000. This is 29 cents per 1,000. And it shows you the annual impact based on the assessed value of a home. If you want your exact one, you would take the value of your home divided by 1,000 and multiply it by the tax rate impact per 1,000. And that is our budget update right now. We are happy to answer any questions for folks. And I will add, I do want to say this, that in that total, like level services, that total budget increase, I have it all over my board, that total budget increase is still under 3%. It's 2.65. And if folks are reading the papers, school departments are presenting 5, 6, 7, 9% increases to towns, 11% increases to town. So a level service budget, the total increase to the budget is under 3%, 2.65. The increase to local is under 1%, even in that scenario. With that $400,000 increase, that's an increase, that's a decrease, to local from this fiscal year. That still represents a decrease of just over 3% and less than 1% increase to the total budget. We're happy to answer questions and certainly listen to what you would like us to present to FinCom as options.
Thank you, Annie and Chris. I'm sure this was not easy to pull together, but I really appreciated the way in which you shared the information. It was easy to understand. And I have a point of view, but I'm not going to lead with that. I'd really like my colleagues to share questions they might have on these three scenarios, comments, and let's engage in a conversation about these scenarios.
Annie, just a quick question for the people at home, going from level services to reduced services. Again, in level services, we're eliminating 2.6, but that's attrition that you did not fill this year. Are we getting rid of additional 2.6 to 3.1 positions in the reduced services?
Correct. So that's an additional.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks, Ethan. Other questions?
Oh, go ahead, Tara. I was going to
Okay.
say, I don't have any questions. I'm certainly ready to have the conversation.
Yeah, okay. Let's get all our questions out there first, and then we can have the conversation.
I don't have any questions either, so I'll wait just to make sure.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
Tara. Christine?
No, I'm still mulling it over.
I'll share a question, and that is like about the proposed bus route. If we eliminate a bus route, are we talking about spreading those same pickups to the existing bus routes? So how many do we operate today? Is it 4 bus routes and we'd be doing down to 3? How long is each bus route on average, and how long, like by deleting one of the bus routes, how long are we extending the time that students have to be on that bus at the high school level, at the elementary school level? Tell me a little bit more about that scenario, please.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we don't know that yet. Folks are working really hard to gather who's currently taking the bus, where did they live, and what's the most expedient way we could get there. We are, but we would have to finalize all those routes. I don't have the answers to that.
Okay, do you have a sense for what the earliest bus pickup is today?
Yes, I should know that off the top of my head. I want to say it's probably at Hopkins shortly before 7. But let me just pull up Chris might be pulling them up now, but let me just pull up a route sheet.
I know some schools in our area are debating charging parents for bus routes. So this is one step, short of that. But I know how bleary-eyed my teenagers are when it comes to getting up at dark 30, and I'd love to know what that, and how, if it's going to be earlier, how much earlier that could potentially be.
Sorry. So I see one that looks like the start farther out at Hopkins. One of the routes picks up at 6:40.
All right.
More, but 6:40. I doubt that we have too many that are. We do have one that currently must be a bit farther out, has a pickup time that's closer to 6:30. So, yeah.
All right. So you're
7.
really staring down a kiddo having to wake up at like 6 or possibly in the 5 something time frame to get to school for a 7:30 start. Thank you, Annie.
Sure.
The other question, I had another question. Let me just quickly go back to the scenarios.
Yeah, so that 6:30 is earliest right now. Thanks for giving me a minute there just to check those.
Of course, no problem. And so that middle of the road scenario, the reduction of FTEs by 2 to 3 people, do we have any hypotheses as to, I mean, you mentioned already that we would look to an area where we were really only servicing small numbers of people, or just we had like one, we would, or we would be avoiding places that would where one teacher is covering the entire school for art, for instance. So, but
So the reductions, right? The reductions, the parameters that we would want to use are: is there a way to reduce personnel without completely eliminating a program? So that's that art example that I gave.
Okay, thank you, Tara.
Is it possible while we're talking about this to put that slide back up just for the audience to, I know that, we've reviewed it, but it just, as we're kind of talking about it, if we make reference to one of those different avenues, it's just clear to the public kind of where we're referencing who, yeah, yeah, that one. Thank you.
Right. I guess my last question, and then I'd love to engage the team in a discussion, would be, say we, go anything less than level services, which, like the middle of the road or the no override. But actually, I want to focus on that middle of the road option for a moment, the in yellow, reduced services. What position do you think we'll be in next year? In other words, do we think we'll be coming back again asking for another override? Is this a way to sort of, like, I want to know, are we going to be limping along for the next several years in this scenario versus being at level services? What is your fiscal analysis telling you about what kind of position we'll be in next year?
Unfortunately, that I'm not going to be helpful here. I think there might be a few too many unknowns. So one is that there may be a question on the ballot that reduces the income tax in Massachusetts to 4%. I think that's highly likely to be on the ballot. And I have no idea whether or not that would pass. There's probably a good chance that it would. That will result in widespread shortfalls across municipalities. So hard to know. It's going to happen in November. And yeah, it's really hard to forecast grants right now, and where those will be.
Yeah, I just don't see us relying on grants. It's such a precarious picture out there on the grant side of things. And but I can also envision a scenario where going back to the town for a second year of override would be really annoying. I just think of, like, I mean, it's a totally different scale, but gas prices going up by 50 cents every week and a half or so. It's just incredibly frustrating just to see it continue to go up. Whereas had we done it right the first time, maybe that keeps us going on a more solid footing for a longer period of time. I'm wondering if there's any calculation there that we should take into consideration.
Well,
maybe not.
True, but do remember that, and I may have not said this clearly, and I linked into the agenda, the under finance, the YouTube videos on Hadley Media of the two meetings, the FinCom meeting where I was presenting the budget to FinCom, and then the subsequent meeting. So folks can tune into that and watch it and listen to the elected officials of Select Board and Finance Committee talk about their thoughts on an override. It does sound as though there is support among elected and appointed officials to increase funding, certainly to the schools and perhaps to other departments. FinCom is meeting with every single department. Those will wrap up at the end of the month. I don't think they were saying that that the school committee has to say, we pick this one. You may want to present options. You may want to reinforce the fact that certainly we stand by a level services budget. That budget, let me say it again, is less than a 1% increase to local. The impression that I had was that the impression I have is that the fear is given all or nothing. If something in between has a chance of getting support, is there a number that we could, and I'm saying I think there is a number that we could give as an option, which is certainly better. The zero, I'm still sharing, right? The no override really does have some pretty programmatically catastrophic consequences.
Yeah, in my mind, that is like an absolute non-starter. We just not at all tenable to eliminate 10.6 FTEs and reduce extracurriculars and athletics. That just everything we've built will come crumbling down. Not an option in my mind. But now we're getting into, discussion, less questions. So I really welcome my colleagues' thoughts here. Tara, Christine, Ethan, what do you think? Tara?
I don't think I have any questions for Annie about like the presentation and what she's put together. Annie, I think it was really well put together. I think it's really easy to understand, kind of the impacts and where things can go. And I appreciate that this is a snapshot in time, and that, when we talk about our budget every year in the school, it's never really a finite, right? So we start talking about that, and depending on special education, students coming in, students coming out, that number is changing a lot. And so, I appreciate you putting together the snapshot of where we're at, but as far as our actual presentation, where things stand, I have comments, but not really any questions about.
Yeah, now's the time for comments, Tara.
So discussion comments, are we
Yes,
at that
please.
point?
Yes.
So you started to just tap on it, Humira, that it's not attainable to even look at no override, in my opinion. And I think that the baseline is reduced services as a baseline. Me as a parent, and as a member of the town, really want to and will advocate for level services and an override. As a parent, again, I think it's important for our town. I think it's important for our schools. I think it's important for other departments in the town. I feel as though there's not, and again, Annie alluded to this, not one right answer to present to FinCom and Select Board, but rather, I guess I would not defer, but lean into kind of the climate of what is, for lack of better language, like what are our best chances, right? Like if I had a crystal ball and there was no way we're going to get level services this year, then I would really want to advocate for the partial override at reduced services, because I agree some is better than none. So I don't know the approach that we take to kind of advocate, like, obviously our ideal is level services, because again, it's a snapshot in time and we don't know what's going to happen in fiscal year 27, 28, 29. And we could be coming back and be in the same predicament in the future. So I think that's what we want. Like that's what we need. But how do we get our second best if we can't get level services?
Thank you, Tara.
I'll jump in. I think I agree with a lot that Tara said. I would also say that if I'm a parent and I'm looking at this, I want green means go, right? Like I want the level services. I want the opportunities for my kids. I think about all the adults in those schools that do extracurricular activities, clubs, sports, spend extra time with these students. I think it's fair to say that the human capital that we have here in Hadley and at Hopkins Academy and Hadley Elementary School will allow these schools to continue to do really good things. But I think in this moment, it's important for people to understand that we need the financial part of it. Sure, we can do reduced services if necessary, but I think that, for me, the push is level services. That's we need to be able to provide the level of experience and support that we've done over the years that I've been on school committee and the years that my kids have been in the school system. I can get on board with the idea if we can't do level services, that reduce could work. But I hope that families out there are seeing this and saying, no, we want level services. That's the expectation, and that they reach out to finance committee and select board and share that with them, because I think it's important that we not lose employees, that we not eliminate bus routes and have less people doing the things that are really important to the educational experiences that our students are having right now.
Thank you, Ethan. Christine?
I agree with Ethan. I think that we should advocate for level services. I don't see how we're already, we're doing such amazing work, and I think we just need to keep reiterating that this is there isn't a lot of fat to be trimmed. We are doing amazing work with what we have, and that we deserve to be level funded. I just don't see how going, and then this gives us a year to reassess, but I think that we owe it to our students to fight for the level funding.
Thank you, Christine.
I do have a question.
Yes, Tara.
Annie, I apologize. I'm hoping you know off the top of your head. The next meeting for by board, if parents wanted to, or any community member wanted to attend and make their opinions known in public comment and chime in their thoughts.
And I know I'm doing this so nobody freaks out and says, oh my gosh, I forgot she's sharing a screen. No, I'm going to remind us. This is what I do. Anybody can do it, because sometimes you don't know where to find it. Right, Town of Hadley, have a type. And this calendar, so let's find it here. Select Board and Finance Committee tomorrow. Can you see my screen? Yeah, so on the little calendar, hover over. And then when you go to the meeting you are interested in, you pull up the agenda. And if they have a Zoom option, then it will be on that agenda. Tomorrow.
So that one is a by board meeting.
It is. They will tomorrow call the meeting to order at 6. Tuesday, March 24th, they'll call it to order at 6. The Zoom information is you can access through the calendar to the agenda, and there's a by board meeting. They'll discuss a hiring freeze first on the town side, and it looks like they're looking at a hiring freeze on a DPW foreman, a public health nurse, and a COA director, and then they'll discuss the FY27.
And so there's two options. People, I was going to say patients, people can attend via Zoom, or they can go and be there present in public if they want to have their public comments known.
True. And you can do public comment via Zoom, but this is at the senior center. In person, on Zoom. However, if something goes awry with the Zoom link, they are not violating open meeting law. They will continue with their in-person meeting. They will announce that at the beginning. And it's so as long as they can continue with the in-person, even if something goes wrong.
Your public comments, viewers, are really important. They count for a lot. You might hold back, not, not feel like you can speak. I had many people at our last meeting when we had a lot of folks attend. I gave a lot of time waiting for folks to unmute and say something, and people reached out to me afterwards and said, really wanted to say something, but I wasn't sure and I felt a little bit timid about it. And I promise I'll, do it at the next opportunity. Well, this is your chance. This is your shot. And those are people who really want to hear from the school community. They won't be able to pass a successful override without your voice. So I strongly urge you to show up at the Zoom option. I did exactly what you just said, Tara. Last time I was there, I patched in by YouTube. I was watching it, and then there was a moment where I just knew I just had to share some information. It was so easy to get the Zoom link from the agenda and pop in, raise my hand. And even though public comment had passed, they really wanted to hear from us.
Yeah, and to be clear too, just you do have to go into the Zoom meeting. You can't go onto YouTube to watch the meeting because you won't be able to do public comment that way. And then just to reiterate for anybody who may be listening even later on YouTube, Annie did mention that at the most two recent meetings, it sounded like a very positive light towards an override and a lot of support for the school. So anybody that is feeling a little bit more intimidated to speak up, really now is your chance. There is support there. And I do agree they want to hear from us. So sorry, I just wanted to get that out.
Thank you. Thank you. I will share that I believe strongly that we should go the level services route. I do not want to be in a position where we're doing the same thing next year. And we increase our chances of being structurally far more sound if we don't hack away at ourselves too early. Of course, we can't tell what's going to happen next year. There could be some fiscal upturn. We could have a ton of revenue flowing from the state. The legislature could pass the rural schools bill. Lots of things could change. And if that does, we have a track record of giving money back to the town. We've done that more than once. So I would ask that the voters trust us with the level services. We're not asking for more. We're asking to maintain the programs that that's come to really define us, that's attracted students from communities far and wide, that have, graduated some amazing alums. My kids, they will be out of the school. My senior is graduating in 2 months. I hate taxes. I do not want my tax bill to go up, especially with my gas bill and my oil bill and all the rest. These are not easy times to increase by $160 a year. But, that's a few less nights of eating out and, me making meals at home. I'm thinking about the trade-offs for my family, and I'm willing to make those for other people's children and for our town and for our solid assessment values for our homes, for all the things that we love about Hadley. So I stand by level services. I think I'm glad that we are floating these options. I think it's helpful for the town to hear. And I think it's really important for us to have a position. And I don't know if we need to take a formal position or not, but I think if it comes to that, I think we should take a formal position. I think it's helpful. I always look at town meeting to see, was it 400? Is it 500? Paul was out, but like knowing that we all stand behind something, I think goes to speaks volumes for how we think the town should proceed. So I would be happy to entertain a vote in support of level services over any of the other options.
I'd be happy to do that too.
Is that a?
Yeah, I don't know where that vote goes, but I think I think
goes
it's
on.
important. I mean, as you're talking to me, you're saying a lot of great things, and I think it's important for the people of this community to know that kind of us on the school committee are committed to our students, to our families, and to this community. I think about the other, we're talking about the school here, but there's plenty of other public services in this town that also need support right now too, and that a vote for us could also be ultimately a vote for them. So like any support we can give to the people in this town and this community, I think is super important right now.
I agree. And we're not we're not in school, we're not teaching students here, but I will say I do not want a half-ass measure.
Yeah.
I want a solid footing for all our services, for police, for fire, for DPW, in a strategic and smart way. We should not be coming back next year. We should be shoring up for potentially more difficult times. But this is really our one shot, I think. I don't think we can keep going back to this well. Christine?
No, I agree with everything that you said, and I think it's worth fighting for.
Right. So I do think we should make it official. I wish Paul were here. And I'm sure he would have asked great questions and had very sage words of advice. But I think it would be meaningful if we all feel this way, to be able to communicate a 401, one absent vote. So Tara, you mentioned you'd be willing to, is that a first, a motion?
Make a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ethan. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Aye. Thank you for your leadership team. I feel good about this, and thank you, Annie, for relaying this message back to the town.
Okay, what I will let finance committee know is that the school committee is voting in favor of level services. Certainly, if they have anything that they want to present, they are always welcome at our meetings or to come in and at your meeting, I should say. But I will let them know that the school committee would like to advocate for level service budget in FY27.
Thank you, Annie. Tara, you had a comment.
I did, but I also wanted to just say if there were ever an opportunity for us as a school committee to be present at their meetings as well. I don't know how anybody else feels, but I would be fully supportive of being present for one of those as a member of school committee and being part of the discussion that way as well.
Yeah, I don't know how many cycles there are, Annie, between now and a potential town meeting where that override would take place. But if there was the potential of having a tri-board meeting, I would welcome that. I will be traveling quite a bit in April. I think my colleagues could potentially be there in person, and I would definitely be there on Zoom if it ended up being in April, but I will definitely make it.
Can I also ask, would it be possible, I don't know this, I don't know, again, how many cycles we have, but for finance committee, someone from the finance committee to be here with us to, for people that might watch this video, but might not watch another video, to help further explain kind of where they're at in the process? Because I think, Annie, you do a wonderful job of kind of sharing with us on this end. But I know not everybody can make it out to those meetings or gets on those YouTubes, and it might be great to have that in an additional space where people might be watching.
And also, I guess, Annie has, I think, mentioned it before, and I've looked up, our YouTube videos do get hits. We're watched outside of the live, even though the live doesn't feel very exciting here. So just for that information purpose, I think Kimera taking a vote on our stance is really important. And then remembering, although it may seem obvious, but stating it out loud that we're all part of this community. All of us school committee members are part of the community. We have had or have children in the school system. We cherish our children's education, and one of us even was a teacher in the school system, who deeply cares about our schools, our kids, and the staff that we have. They're invaluable. So know that we're fighting for this not only as school committee members, but as parents, either now or then, past teachers and townspeople, who really care about the community. And I don't want to speak for anybody else, but reach out for anything and my boat, and I think you all feel the same. If there's questions, if we can point you in the right direction to get an answer that you need, we're here to advocate as parents and as school committee members.
Well said, Tara. All right, great. Thank you again. I'm really glad we had this discussion, and I'm going to consider it closed, and we're going to move next to other items on the agenda, and hopefully move at a fast-ish pace. It'd be great to try to make our 7 o'clock benchmark and be off on our way to dinner. Okay, moving on to item 4C, fiscal year 27 capital articles. Annie.
Yes, Chris and I spoke about this at length. As you know, at special town meeting, there were 3 school security articles that went before the voter. Those included blue lights, the security vestibule at Hopkins Academy, and blinds. All of them were voted down. Actually, that was at special town meeting, not special, second fall town meeting. So in early April, Chris and I will be meeting with the Capital Committee in town. We are recommending the following, that at annual town meeting, so in May, rather than asking for all 3 of those items again, that we ask for the blinds at Hopkins Academy. They are original, they are broken, and that is a safety problem, particularly when you're doing a shelter in place. We would like to ask for bus stop arm cameras. Many parents, we want them, and parents have been emailing us about this. We'd like to ask for that. We're suggesting that on the security vestibule and the blue lights, that we wait until the fall, potentially on a to be determined. I know that public safety is trying to come up with something that maybe isn't quite blue lights, that might still assist with notifying the community not to approach the schools in the event of an emergency. Our thinking on this is we certainly want to make sure that we get, Chris just led the walkthroughs for the locker room. We want to see what those bids come in at. Yeah, again, we're just trying to work with the town to establish priorities and acknowledge that they are under tremendous fiscal constraints. So still keeping safety a priority, but keeping in mind what the town is up against. So we'd just like to decrease the amount that would have gone to them, which, as you can see, is closer to 187.50. Don't embarrass me now. No. Anyways, don't embarrass me in doing all that. I don't teach your kids math. Don't worry about it. Someone else does that. So we'd like to decrease that by a significant amount and ask for those 2 items. The school committee is in agreement.
Comes to roughly, so 120 and 120 and 50, 170. A little over 170.
As opposed to, what we were looking at before, maybe.
Right. Okay. Very good. Any questions for Annie?
No questions. Thank you, Annie.
All right. Terrific. We're going to keep it moving. Do you need a vote for us on this, Annie?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. Very good.
Agreement.
Great. And then you're going to take us through the capital plan?
No, that was just if people had a question. Like,
Okay.
that's just for reference, not going through.
Just for
the
reference, and-
updated, but that was just for reference in case folks were thinking, well, what is on the capital plan?
And-
Again, it needs to be revised. And it also will show the public how much school choice money we allocate to capital projects.
And how we've moved things forward in light of the current financial position. So that's really important. We had a plan and plans change. So we are adjusting and we are pushing things out farther. Right. Moving next to the school year 26-27 calendar.
Yes, this does require a vote. The HEA has voted to start teachers a bit earlier. The teachers will return on August 24th. They will do 3 days of professional development, and students would return on August 27th, a Thursday. And then I believe that will allow students to have a 2-day week and a 5-day week, and then they'd have Labor Day weekend. But students returning on the 27th.
All right, very good. Any questions or comments for Annie on the calendar?
Yeah.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve the school calendar as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
just got to make sure there's no snow days next year.
No guarantees. All right. Moving next to item E, disposition of equipment. Chris.
Hi, so we have a number of items. We have a few boxes of materials that are old, broken, unused, that the science department really just wants to move out of the way. They're just taking up space and they're not used anymore. Much of it is unusable. So they're asking for your approval just to dispose of it in any way we can. I don't know if anything is actually sellable, although that is listed on the agenda, but we're looking for your permission and we will certainly try to if they are.
Thanks, Chris. Any questions, colleagues? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Moving next to item F, employee handbook changes, specifically the parental and personal leave. Annie?
Yes, so what I'm asking the school committee is to extend the parental leave benefit that any of you who negotiated Unit A and Unit D that we added to teachers and ESPs, that just be something, it would be the same benefit then for all employees. And that parental leave is where if you've worked in the district, I think it is for at least one full year.
One calendar year, yeah.
1 calendar year of employment, then you would have 10 consecutive days of paid time off that would not be deducted from leave. And this is what is currently sitting in the collective bargaining agreements for teachers and ESPs.
Okay, any questions or comments on this? Is there a motion to approve?
So
Seconded.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. Thank you. Moving next to the naming of facilities, second reading. Annie.
Yes, so this, you saw this, we skipped last month because we were focused on the budget, but you have had time to take a look at this, and this just delineated, we wanted procedures, like when would something be named? So this does put a higher monetary amount on something named for somebody who's still alive. That would be a significant monetary amount. It certainly does not prevent us from doing any of some of the plaques that we talked about, not naming an entire facility or an object after somebody, but it doesn't prevent us from recognizing mock-up on the fields that Chris had presented, the kind of the triangle and listing all of the donors and thanking them. Doesn't stop any of that. It just, because our previous policy didn't have clear like levels and procedures for naming after people. So this is your second reading of that.
Great. Thank you to the whole team that worked on this for your thoughtful review and careful thinking about all those possible scenarios. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this?
And legal did review it.
Thank you, legal.
No
All right.
questions.
Seeing no questions or comments, is there a motion to approve the 3 documents as presented?
So moved.
Me too. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just a new one, the revised one, right?
Yep.
The revised policy and the procedures.
Yes, sorry, the revised policy FF and the naming and recognition of school facilities, FF-R. Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to H, superintendent updates. Annie, are there any highlights you'd like to offer?
We already showed them at the beginning. There's plenty. I always encourage people to, and I did link something in there, an email that I recently sent. I hope the town is aware that I continue to strongly advocate with the Western Mass delegation and legislature to fully fund rural aid, to consider a one-time relief to municipalities to help with healthcare insurance for the supplemental that is under discussion right now in Ways and Means. And I asked for a third thing, I forgot what it was, but it's in there. So anybody can read that.
I will be at the State House with other school committee leaders from across the state advocating for full funding of rural aid. So wish us luck. And yes, thank you for doing that. If you're listening and you realize that we could get over $300,000 in funding from the state due to the lack of funding we get from being a small school, then you should please register your support for the rural school being fully funded with your local senator, your local congressperson, so Senator Comerford, Rep. Gomez, as well as the House and Senate presidents. They really need to hear from you. Okay, moving next to, let's see, the business manager's report. Chris, can you take us through these documents?
Sure. We can start off. I'm waiting for my picture to come up here. It's not coming up. There we go. We can start off with the revolving accounts report. Basically, this is a unique report in that all of the revenues for the month of February were already posted. So a lot of times they post them toward the end of the month, and I have to put a little asterisk next to the column header to say, well, it looks low because we haven't gotten all the revenues for that particular month yet, but they're all here. The balances are looking pretty good. Obviously items like the school choice, we still have to do a number of transfers of expenses that we've budgeted for that are sitting in the general fund right now, but will be moved to the school choice account. But revolving accounts are looking good. You can see in the athletic revolving what a difference basketball season makes for us, because we have all those gate receipts that came in and bumped up the balance in a big way. So that's certainly good to see. Any questions on that?
No questions.
Okay, then we can move on to the expense report. Again, looking pretty much right where we expect to be for this time of year. We've had some accounts, some maintenance accounts that have had some pretty high expenses. We just had one where we had to replace the oil lines from both tanks coming into the building because the tanks were, the lines were deteriorating and clogging our oil boilers, or actually the oil input of the boilers consistently, where we had to keep calling people out. So finally we had to just bite the bullet and get those oil lines changed. So we're putting all of those through right now into the general fund. And so you'll see a couple of lines that are pretty well over budget. And unfortunately, we really didn't have a choice but to take care of that. So we haven't gotten all the bills in yet, so you won't see it until next month, but just to give you a heads up. But again, pretty much on track with the exception of those couple of accounts. Any questions at all on the general fund expenses? All right, moving right along to the grants report. So you can see there's still a decent amount of money to be spent in the grants. And as always, we will be sure that all of them are spent. I'm actually in the process right now of doing a number of journal entries to move expense from the general fund again over to the grant accounts. So those will be much more caught up for next month. And, again, we never want to waste grant money, so we always make sure that we spend them in full. And just a couple of updates for you. We went out to bid for the locker rooms. We had 32 vendors show up for the walkthrough, which was not even a mandatory walkthrough. So we're hoping that that means that there's going to be, considerable competition for that particular bid. We also had an RFP out for the stage renovations that we're doing, and that was much less of a crowd showing up. We had a mandatory walkthrough for that, and we only had 2 contractors show up. One of them decided, it was a general contractor, and they decided it was much more kind of stage related versus just construction related. And so they decided not to bid on the project, but the person that did it is pretty much does stage renovations for a living. So we thought that was pretty good that he submitted a proposal. So you have that in your package, and I guess later on you'll be voting on that. But I just wanted to update you on the bid processes we have going on.
Thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris?
No.
Okay. And Chris, is that the last of your reports?
That is it, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, we are going to move next to action items. We've already approved of the calendar. We've already disposed of the equipment. We've already approved the handbook changes, revised the policies. Do I have a motion to accept the school committee minutes of January 13th and February 23rd?
So moved.
Thank you, Ethan.
Seconded.
Thank you, Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And approval of stage contractor. So I wonder if anyone has any questions about the proposal that's been attached to our packet.
Yeah.
Okay, seeing none. Motion to, I'll entertain a motion to accept this proposal.
So moved.
Thank you, Christine.
Seconded.
Thank you, Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Moving next to school committee updates and general announcements. Tara, CPAC and CES.
Yes, I will really quickly let you know CPAC, and I had just emailed Annie because I just saw they had their newsletter out. I couldn't get that link to work, so I'm not sure if that's what it was. They had a newsletter for March, and if it's not working, I'll ask Annie for next week to add it.
I'll update the link.
Thank you. And then they'll meet again, I think the end of this week. And just to let you know, they are going to have a table set up at our annual literacy night, which is going to be April 8th from 6 to 7:30, I believe. So there's the CPAC update. CES. So there were several interim meetings. They have appointed an interim executive director that will be starting. So that's good news to hear until the permanent new executive director that will start in July. And then we have our normal, regularly scheduled CES meeting on Wednesday.
Thank you, Tara. For my update on finance, I am simply going to point to Annie's contributions at the school department budget presentation to the finance committee on March 9th, as well as the select board and finance committee joint meeting on March 11th. Thank you, Annie, for staying in front of the town with our finances. Paul's update is attached. It's the ESCO biweekly meeting notes and the common financing options. Are there any questions to those documents? Okay.
And this is a running record, just so people know. We meet every 2 weeks. It's always updated, the notes.
Thanks. Yeah, I was intrigued to see that the cost of geothermal has a 111-year simple payback. And I look forward to further updates, and I look forward to Paul being back to share what his thoughts are on all this. Okay, Moving next to the Capitol. Christine, is there anything to share beyond what Annie's shared so far?
I have a meeting on April 7th.
All right, terrific.
So-
Keep us informed on how that goes. Ethan, policy, anything other than what we read today?
Nothing. We did not meet this month. Focus on the budget.
Okay, thank you. Any general announcements from any one of you or any of our select board or finance colleagues who I don't believe are on this call? But any other general announcements? Okay. Let's see, next meeting dates. We have a public hearing on this budget at our next scheduled regular school committee meeting, which is on April 27th. That is, let's see, 5:30, 10:30.
That's a really important meeting. So if life happens and people realize they won't be there, remember, if we don't have a quorum and we don't vote the school committee budget, the town can't vote its budget the following week. So
April 27th. So I'll just state right now that I'll be in the Netherlands, and they're 5 hours ahead, so it'll be 10:30 at night. I can patch in, and maybe, Annie, if there's only one thing that we do that is focused on the budget. So I would like not to move it, especially if you, my colleagues, can make it. So let's go ahead and proceed with that. All right. Next, let's see, the policy subcommittee will be meeting on that day at 4. And we are not meeting in executive session. So do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
7:01.
You almost did it.
Almost, but like, I'm going to consider it a success anyways. 7:01, I'll take it.
So moved.
Thank you.
Segment.
Thank you, Ethan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Have a good night.
Have a
Night.
great night, everyone.